Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. It's Rob Kosberg here. Excited to bring another episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast to you. I have a great guest today. I think somebody that you're really going to enjoy. You know, a lot of our books that we discuss are of authors that are business owners. And of course, Bew White is that, but he's written in conjunction with someone else, a bestseller called Summer Classic, The Bew White Story by Christopher Taunton. And, it's going to be, I think, really enjoyable to talk about his motivations and what he's using in that book. He was 2013 Entrepreneur of the Year, voted by the Society of International Business Fellows. In 2021, just last year, congratulations, Bew. You received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Casual Furniture Association. So congrats on that. I know you're a very, very successful entrepreneur, so it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks. Great to be here. Thank you, Rob.
Is this your first book, by the way? I know we spoke quite a bit, but is it your first and only?
First and only. I don't know. About killed me writing it.
It can be painful, can't it?
I was like, wow, this is really hard.
Love it. Love it. Appreciate the honesty. It is really hard to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know how you do it.
Tell me, along those lines, while we're going down that path, what was most difficult for you? Like, what does that mean to you that it was really hard? And of course, you had some help as well from a writer, but what was the pain in the process?
Well, during the Great Recession in 2008, some of my friends came to me and said, you got to write a book about this. Nobody goes through the kind of pain that you went through during that period. And you just had incredible experiences. And I think people would learn a lot from that. So I started working on it then, and then after I got in the hospital and almost died, I was like, I better. Well, first of all, what happened is, you don't know, you realize this, but when you're about to die, you get a signal to your brain that you're going to die. And it's like the clarity of that signal is higher than screaming at you. Wow. It's like, and it's 100%. It's, we're getting out of here. You got a few minutes to say whatever you're going to say it.
Wow.
So when I came back, which I didn't expect, I started crying uncontrollably. It's very similar to the movie Captain Phillips, if you ever saw, where they shot all the people around him. He was sure he was going to die. And I had the exact same thing happen. I didn't have people shot around.
Right.
But so when I came back, I just got this signal going, write the book, right? Like God is telling me to write the book. I'm like, okay. I can't write, right? I was like, I'll try. So I wrote about 13 chapters and I went, this is terrible. Two of them were pretty good. And I was like, I got to write this for me. And so I interviewed authors and finally found someone that could do it and had the time. And I literally spent a year with them. And I'd already done these recordings and I did some more because I would kind of walk him through my life.
Yeah.
And he took it from there and did it. I think he did a yeoman's job. Great job.
Fantastic. So it was this obviously incredible near-death experience that motivated you to actually, finally take up the banner and get it done. Talk to me a little bit about that. When was that, and how soon after that did you just go, okay, this is something I've got to do?
October of 2013. I was 63, and it was a blood clot issue. I had blood clots in my legs, and I'd gone to China 29 times, and so I'd been on blood thinners, but you need anticoagulants. That's something I learned, which maybe your audience should know, because I was on the wrong medicines, and I was like,
no kidding.
And so, and people think aspirin is blood thinner. It is blood thinner, but it doesn't anticoagulate your blood, so it doesn't prevent clots. So there's only about 3 medicines you can take that'll do that. So anyway, I got on that afterwards, but before that I wasn't. So after it happened, I started trying to relook at what I'd written so far and fix it. And obviously the hospital scene was one of the things I did. I thought I did really well on, because I wrote down everything really quick that happened. And so I said, this is like something I don't know that anybody's gone through this where they can say, you're going to get a signal, you're going to die. It's going to be in the infinity of it all. I know you're a C.S. Lewis guy. So the fact that you've lived for 60 plus years and infinity, the difference in your mind at that point resonates so much that you're like, okay, well, that was what life was like. And here comes forever and ever. Wow. And it's so, your mind just goes like, wow, life was so short.
Wow. It sounds like a lot went through your mind in a very, very short period of time.
Yes, you're going like, okay, well, let's say whatever you're going to say because we're out of here, buddy.
No kidding.
Well, my wife happened to be there, so I was just apologizing to her. I was like, I think I've left you with a mess here. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm dying before I'm ready,
Right. But you said a couple of things that are interesting to me, and I don't know what they mean to you. Like you used a word like signal. You get this signal. What does that mean? Can you be more descriptive of like that experience? And I know that this isn't directly related to your book, although you have this in your book. Yes, it's in there.
Yeah. So what happened was I had 5 blood clots in my lungs. And so one went through and obviously got stuck somewhere and my heart started to stop. And when my heart rate went to 30.
Wow.
And I thought I was having heartburn. I'm trying to get the nurse to come in. And I'm going like, come on. And never answered me. And I texted my wife. I said, I think this is it. She was down in the cafeteria getting a cup of coffee. And she thought, I'd unplugged my cell phone or something. I was like, no, this is it. The game over. So what happened was the nurses came in, but I realized I'm dying. They called me, they called and said, what's wrong, Miss Ward? I said, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to die and I have just a few minutes. And I can tell you, I know I'm going to die. And it's just, other than a signal, I don't know what you'd call it. It's a higher power saying, you got a few minutes, dude. This part of your career is over.
But you were totally conscious. You were totally aware.
Yes, I never blacked out. Here's the thing is, your bed, goes up to watch TV. Well, it also goes down so your head is below your feet. And so they pushed me down the bed and they filled me full of dopamine and salt water, and I came back. But having known not 50% or 80%, but 100% that I was going to die and coming back, I was kind of going, why am I alive? Wow. I'm not supposed to be alive. This doesn't make any sense to me that I'm here. Why am I here? And I would say writing the book was one of the reasons. And yes, I wrote it for my kids and grandkids, but for business people, for everything, for belief, what I believe in, and how it can be really hard to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of things in there that would be helpful to somebody that one wants to be an entrepreneur or wants to have a better life.
Yeah. All right, let's dive in there. What would you say to a business owner that, has yet to experience all the ups and downs? I went through the 2007 and 8 crisis. In fact, that's what led me out of one career into the book business. Very, very painful time in my life. You've been through that. You've been, even just in a few minutes that you and I were talking before the podcast, your experience is, incredible. What would you say for a business owner that has yet to experience these things that the book will help them with, or why should they kind of embrace the book?
There's 6 traits to an entrepreneur. You really got this from the EOS group.
Okay.
Gino Wickman, you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
And I read his book about entrepreneurship. I was like, wow, this is right. And I'm like, I didn't know I had these, but everybody that wants to have their own business should know it. I mean, the one that I think gets everybody is risk taker. So I was listening to the guy that runs the executive leadership program, Center for Executive Leadership Program in Birmingham. He does mostly prayer groups or Bible study groups with people here. Was talking about these interviews they did with people that were over 85 and their regrets in life. And the number one regret was, I didn't take enough risk.
Right.
I said to him, wow, I think I maybe took too many risks. I don't have that problem. Another thing was about relationships, which I have a lot. I think we're having great relationships is really important. My wife relationship is incredibly important. But the other one is driven. And you'll know if you have that because you can't sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so driven. I'm like going, oh, I'm glad I have this, but boy, it is killing me. I'm like, I can't sleep at night. And then there's a few other, being responsible is obviously one of them. So there's a lot of things in there. Passionate, visionary, those are the others that are really important.
And so do you address those things within the book and
problem solver? No, you'll see me go through. I say I have an MBA in mistakes. So I keep making these mistakes. And here's the key is pushing through. Make the mistake. I made a $30 million mistake one time, and my staff was going to come into me, particularly the customer service staff was going, we're going to go out of business. I said, no, we're not. We're going to make it through. I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do to get through this. And we're going to, instead of losing 30 million at one time, we're going to lose it over 5 years. So it doesn't kill us. And it's probably not going to be 30 million. Yeah, but we sold $30 million of this stuff. I was like, there's a paint problem we had with Sherwin-Williams and that we had in China, and we wanted to sue Sherwin-Williams, but we couldn't because we'd have to sue them in China. Anyway.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Oh, no, that's just, that particular part is in the book, but just having all of these issues by making mistakes and then regrouping and pushing through. My son calls it grit. And there's a podcast that he listens to that this girl's talking about grit. And he's like, wow, that's you. You're the guy that's pushing through. And when things look like you'll never make it through. And obviously, the 2008, I had owed Royal Bank of Scotland $20 million. And they lost $63 billion in the fourth quarter of 2008. So they started, I didn't realize this, but they had nowhere to get money. Fortunately, eventually, Bank of England saved them. But before that, the only place they could get money is by closing their loans out and getting other banks to lend the money against their loans and get money. So, at one point we were like, they're not going to be able to hit our payroll, even though we have enough credit line.
Yeah.
We may not be able to make payroll because they run out of money.
Right.
And they're not government. They can't just print it. They've got to, either have it in profit. So situations like that where you have to get through and you think I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then the support group that you've got to have a support group that's saying, I believe in you. And I certainly had that with my wife going, I would have times I would go like, I can't do this anymore. This is crazy. I made $41,000 a year. I paid myself $41,000 a year for 11 years. I was like, this is nuts.
I deserve a lot more than that.
Yeah. And I had been making $200,000 a year before I started my business. I was like, I can't do this. And she's like, you can do it. I believe in you. I was like, okay, I'll keep going. Now, we may not be able to buy groceries, but.
Amazing. Okay. So how long have you been married?
50 years in July.
Congratulations.
So, a lot.
That is awesome. I mean, that's a heck of a milestone.
Best decision of life, frankly.
Yeah. So what are your plans? Where are you going for 50? What are you doing?
Ponte Vedra. I'm going to go to Ponte Vedra.
She doesn't want to go to Ponte Vedra.
Yeah, and she's going to cook. No. She doesn't like to travel anymore. That's one of the problems with COVID. Yeah. It's created this, this thought process of not wanting to travel. I've got this whole plan to take her all the places in Europe she hasn't been yet. And she's like, I don't want to go to Europe. I'm like, you're kidding. You don't know what you missed. And of course, we've been to Italy and France and England lots, but not in Spain, but not, Netherlands and Germany. I said, you got to see Austria and Germany and it knows. She's like, I don't need to see.
I'm going to stay right here in Birmingham.
Yeah, exactly. And tend to my garden. Now, what am I going to do about my garden? I was like,
love it. Well, that is, that's quite a milestone. 50 years is amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. So,
let's with 50 years. That's hard enough right there.
That's right. Let's go back to the motivation to write the book. There was obviously a clear motivation, feeling like, I've been given a second chance. I need to write the book. But that wasn't where it started. And that wasn't the only motivation. You mentioned legacy stuff, writing a book for your children, grandchildren. You've mentioned business stuff, using the book, marketing department, that kind of thing. So talk to me about those elements. I'm intrigued by the book as a legacy piece. Of course, my whole business is built on using a book to grow your business, so I'm intrigued by how you're doing that. But let's first start about the legacy piece. So what were you hoping to kind of pass on to your kids and grandkids and future generations?
Well, they have this strike three, you're out with the third generation.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to put a stop to that. Hopefully I can. Certainly my son got to see how hard I worked, and he's not having to work nearly as hard. If it gets to the next generation, they're going to have it even much easier than that. And
right.
So if they could look back on what happened to get there, I think it might give them some guidance on how to, not
how to keep it.
How to keep it. Yeah, there you go. That. And, I think that's critical. Of course, I have no control over that because I'll be dead. But so that's one. Two is, actually, my marketing department was more fired up. I was doing it for, like you say, for legacy.
Yeah.
And my marketing department said, well, we can really take advantage of that. And it is true that if people read it and they like you, they'll want to buy your products.
Yep.
So I wasn't writing it so people like me. It's kind of warts and all. It's not I'm great and you need to be like me or whatever. There's not much ego in there. But I think people will like me, if they read it and they'll want to buy the product. Because one of the things is when I started the company was making the product last a long time because it's outdoors. And, you live in Florida, so you put something on the ocean.
Gets beat up.
It eats it up, yeah. So we even developed ocean product that would have a 5-year warranty on it. That not only be 5 years, but it would look exactly like you bought it in 5 years.
Whoa, that's incredible.
And it could be right on the ocean. It could literally be in the sand on the ocean, And so that was, I felt like that was a critical part. And then we wanted people, I always said, this stuff's so expensive, it's not going to work until 15 or 20 years after I start shipping.
Yeah.
And so that was the philosophy is I couldn't get the customer to talk about the product until they had it 15 or 20 years, and people come over to us like, boy, this I like your outdoor furniture. I've had it 15, 20 years and it still looks great.
That's incredible.
They're your salesman.
Yeah.
That was a critical part of what I was doing. So I think there's a little bit about that in the book, but not that much. I think the first part about liking the people involved in the company and the culture make you want to buy the product. I think that's how to grow the business. And we're going to grow $40 million this year. So it's
wow.
I don't think the book is doing that. I think inflation has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But that's 25-30% growth. And so
amazing.
Now this is interesting. Since I started the company in 1987, it doubled every 3.5 years up until 2008. But then it went back 30%. If you think about that, I know if you buy stocks, you'll know this. If your stock goes down 30%, it's got to go up 60% to get back to the 30.
Right.
So you're like, every time that happens, I kind of go, that's going to be a lot harder than look. And that was when it shrunk 30. I went, wow, I've got to grow a lot to get back to where we were in 2008. And so that was pretty discouraging. But now I see the growth. We're having 5 to 10% growth every year. And now, as of 21, really, 2020 was a pretty good growth year, but we're shut down for a couple of months. So 2021 was a huge, we're selling way more than we could ever get. I don't know if you realize the furniture business has just gone crazy.
Yeah.
I think for a couple of people are stuck in their houses.
Yeah.
But that's really helped this business dramatically.
And what about supply chain issues that you hear about and that sort of thing? What was that like?
Well, we're the largest privately held importer in the state of Alabama. There's over 2,000 containers a year. And right now, number one, Thailand, which we only have one supplier in Thailand, you can't get a container. I'm piling up production, and I can't even get a container to pick it up to bring it in.
No
but
kidding.
If I did, it would have cost $6,000, and now it's $30,000.
Wow.
For freight. So my price of my product
So it's
doubled.
5x
by
Freight.
the same thing in Asia, 6,000 to 30,000.
Incredible.
China went back down. China went down to 6,000 from 25,000, but they were at 5. So they're up 20%, but that's nothing compared to the other. We were in the process of moving all of our production out of China, trying to get out of China. Now, VP, I'm doing a China speech Friday because we're big enough. China's a huge market for us. And so there's a book called Destined for War. I'm basing this speech on this book by Harvard professor. And that's a great book, too, if you want to read something. If you want to be scared to death, you might want to read that. It's about the coming.
Is it about conflict with U.S. and China?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating book. But we had to end up going back to China and open 2 new plants in China because nobody else has enough humans and equipment and product, and even all our raw materials in Indonesia were coming from China. So we just went like, wow, we're going back into the devil's lair here.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to get out of here because
no one else can do it.
Yeah. And I set up the business based on the Ralph. I was in the textile business in the 70s in New York. And I called on Ralph Lauren because I was fascinated with his model and what he was doing. And back then, all the cutting was done in the United States. Cut and sew was all done here. And he wasn't making anything. He was just designing product and having people make it for him. In fact, we were sending it to some of our suppliers that made stuff for JCPenney.
Wow.
Like, how does this work? He said, well, all we do is design and market. And then we have people make the product for us. And because of that, we can be in any product we want to be in. We can, it can be in women's wear, men's wear, ties, suits. We just get people to make it to our spec and then sell it and then put our brand on it. And then also, obviously, the polo player is a big part of that.
Right.
I was like, man, if I get in business, that's what I want to do. Because when I became a salesman, I first became a salesman before I got into manufacturing or making branding, So I was selling products where they had a factory that made the product, and then the market would change and they'd say, why are you not selling our product anymore? I was like, well, the market's gone here. Make that. I'll sell that. And they were like, we can't make that. And I was like, well, I'm going where the market's going.
Right.
So I said, man, somebody needs to make what the customer wants to buy instead of what their factory makes. And so
sounds simple, doesn't it?
That's what my model is. Yeah. And so it's really helped me because a lot of my competition's making product in the United States. So I say they live in a box.
Yeah.
The box is this manufacturing plant that makes X amount of product. And they can increase their production by adding people, more space, more equipment, more shifts. But they're stuck with this box.
Right.
And most of them have said, this is too risky. I'm not going to go add on to my box or increase my production or add a shift. Well, you can't add a shift because you can't get the people. So I've been able to add factory capacity and increase volume dramatically over a relatively short period of time, where some of my competitors are sold out until 2023.
Wow. Oh my
They're taking orders right now for 2023. I'm guessing they're taking them saying, I'm going to sell you the production time, but the price may change.
No kidding.
So, yeah, I just got that last week. So I said, hey, we're placing orders now with X factory for 2023. I was like, well, I still got stuff I can get you in 8 weeks.
No kidding.
Why don't you dump them?
Yeah, exactly. No wonder you've grown 25, 30% in 1 year.
Yeah, I think this year's going to be even better because what happened, this all happened in the March, April, May timeframe last year, where people got sold up and couldn't ship and got sold up through Christmas.
Yeah.
Of course, we're mostly in outdoor furniture. And so and I want out my outdoor furniture in December that I ordered in May.
Yeah.
Now it's gone out to a year. When I got into the textile business in 1972 in New York, we were sold out and on allotment for 2 years. And so all excited, I'm going to be a salesman. I just got out of Auburn. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Tell me what I need to do. And they were like, well, it's really different right now. We're on allotment. I was like, what's allotment? Oh, that's where we tell the customers how much they can get. And we're sold out for 2 years. And I was like, that doesn't sound like selling to me. It's like, well, it's not. In fact, they're taking us out to lunch now. And they're begging us for more production and we can sell all we can make. I was like, wow, catbird seat.
Yeah. Why don't we make more?
Yeah, they couldn't. I mean, that's the same thing.
Same problem.
They didn't want to take the risk. Inflation was causing it. Same thing that's causing this. Inflation was causing this because people were covering and we wouldn't raise the price. What's happening to us now is people are raising our price on our existing orders. So the orders that we've already placed for fabric, for example, we've got an increase from our big fabric supplier, Umbrella, starting January 15th. And I called the CEO. I was like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, the one reason I placed the orders is so, you could cover yourself and not increase my prices. I can't. I got to increase them more like 8%. It was 8.7, almost 9%.
No kidding.
And I'm like going, I can't go back to my customers and ask them to pay more because you're charging me more.
Right.
You don't have to, but I'm charging you.
You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm charging you more. If you want the stuff, fine.
Crazy. Love it.
And there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I see it. I could actually talk to you about that all day, but we're under time constraints. We need to have a B, I think, here. We need to have a podcast B.
Okay, B for Bew.
That's right. No, I mean, super enjoyable to talk to you, Bew. I mean, let's end A. Where can people learn a little bit more about you, about your company, maybe speaking opportunities, et cetera? Where can we send them for that?
Well, by the way, I had to buy my BewWhite.com. I was like, somebody has that?
Someone had it.
Okay. I was like, okay, I'll buy it. So BewWhite.com, you can go to BewWhite.com, you can go to SummerClassics.com, you can go to Gatsby.com. You can buy the book on Amazon, which I think even if you go to BewWhite.com, it's probably going to send you to Amazon to buy the book. Or you can go in one of our stores. We have 20 stores in the United States from
one here
Arizona.
In Jacksonville.
Well, we're open in Arizona. Huh?
One here in Jacksonville.
One there in Jacksonville, yes. And then all the way up to Chicago and over to, we're open in Annapolis this year.
Love it.
This spring. And then the closest one to that's Richmond. And then down across to, we're opening this spring in Arizona, in Scottsdale. And then we're all over Texas. We're in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston.
Fantastic. Well,
but we also have dealers. We have dealers that have the book too. We have over 600 dealers.
Very good. Very good. That's a great distribution center right there.
Yep.
Love it. Wonderful speaking to you. So BewWhite.com, which is BEW white.com, as well as the others, Summer Classics, etc. We'll have all of those in the show notes. In all sincerity, love to have you back on because I'd love to speak about, a little bit more about the business stuff that we were just getting into. And of course, you got to take me up on the coffee thing next time you're here in beautiful St. Augustine.
I am. I love that place.
Love it. Yeah, me too. Bew, thank you. Thanks for being a part of the podcast, and look forward to B.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to be at B.